Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar in which we'll talk about how is it that you can ace reading comprehension. Just want to make sure that everyone can hear me loud and clear. Can you please say hello over here in the chat and indicating that you can hear me clearly? My name is Payal Tandon. I'm one of the co-founders of GMAT, and I will be your host today in this session. Really excited to be here. Okay, so people can hear me clearly. Just with the show of yeses, if I can get to know how many people are actively waiting for this session, I would really appreciate that. Okay. Hello, Suman. Hello, Abhijit. Hello, Charu. Martin says, it's my weakest area of GMAT. I struggle in all parts of RC, while SCR and SC are not a problem. Sounds good. We will take care of that. All right, that's why I'm here. Okay. So let's get going here. Before I get started with the actual part of the session, let me just begin my presentation. We'll talk about how is it that we can ace reading comprehension. So before I get going, I want to understand what is your reading comprehension approach today, and for that I'm going to ask you certain questions, and I would want your response here in the chat. So when you solve, how many of you enjoy reading comprehension? How many of you feel that, okay, yes, I'm going to now prepare for reading comprehension from tomorrow onwards. I'm preparing. I'm really excited about it. How many of you get that kick out of, just the prospect of preparing for reading comprehension? And if you don't, then just say, no, I don't enjoy reading comprehension. So Antimony says, depends on the topic. Okay. Lynn says, not me. All right. Let's get to hear some more. Tyra, I hope I'm not butchering your name, says no. Yogesh says no. Rudolph says, prefer a dentist. Oh my goodness. Okay, don't remind me of a dentist right now. But I can understand the sentiment. If you are, if you prefer a dentist, then I can definitely understand the sentiment. Well, it's nice to see some yeses here. Abbas says, yes, he does. Sanjeev enjoys to read it. Trishal gets that kick. Very nice. It's really good to have some people who enjoy RC and some people who are really scared of it. My goal here in this session is to make sure that by the end of the session, or probably by the middle of the session, you start to feel comfortable about RC. For those of you who are scared about RC, you start to feel comfortable with it. For those of you who enjoy it, they get to enjoy it even more. So that's what my goal is. So let's see if I'll be successful in my goal. All right, so now let me ask another question. How many of you understand the RC pass? So what's the average amount of time you spend in reading an RC passage before you even take a look at a question? So just tell me, what's the average? I understand that you have various lengths of passages. You have 250-word passage or a 300-word passage. So tell me, what's the average amount of time you spend today while reading a passage before you take a look at any of the questions? So Yogesh takes 10 minutes to read a passage. Okay. Trishal, 4 to 5 minutes to read a passage. Okay. Samaresh, 3 to 4 minutes. Suman, 5 minutes. Okay. All right. So Rudolph, 3 minutes max. All right. Sounds good. So let's get going over here. This is my second question here. What level of understanding of the passage do you have today before you start answering questions? And here your options are, I understand, less than 50%. I get about 50 to 75% of understanding, or, more than 75%, or here 100%, 75 to 99%. Yeah, so tell me, which options would you choose here? So I see Charu says 50 to 75%. Let's get some more. All right, well under 50. Okay, let's get some more people here. 75 to 99%. Rahul says 50 to 75. Okay, less than 50. Okay. 75 to, okay. All right. So as you can see, there are very few people who today get to this level of understanding before they attempt questions. Okay. And that is where the problem is. The problem really is that you are spending the time to understand the passage. I was really happy to see that you guys are spending upwards of 3 minutes or 4 minutes to read and understand the passage. But you are looking at the questions before you even understand the passage to the right amount of level. And for me, the right level, the optimum level of understanding that you should have is above 90%. Okay, so that's what is happening right now. You are spending the time in reading the passage, but you are reading for time. You're not reading for comprehension, and that is something which we have to fix. Okay, the amount of time that you should take to read a passage should vary anywhere between 3 to 4 minutes, okay, depending upon the length of the passage. But the level of understanding that you need to have should be upwards of 90%. And that is something which is a problem today. And this is the problem that we need to fix. Okay, and that's what we are going to be talking about in this session. All right. Does that make sense? Yes or no? That's the problem that we have to fix. We are not going to spend a whole lot of time reading the passage. We are making sure that the time that you are spending today is spent on the right points, is spent so that you get to that comprehension. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. All right. Okay, so really that's what my goal is. How do you get to the maximum from the passage in the first read itself? And that's very important. I want you to make sure that we emphasize on the part first read of the passage. Okay, and I'm not saying that you cannot go back and reread the passage. You can, but once you start taking a look at the questions, you shouldn't have to understand what the passage was trying to tell you. Before you take a look at the questions, you should have a complete understanding of what the passage is telling you. And that's what we're going to talk about. How is it that you can get that? Okay. So I'm going to introduce certain reading strategies that we talk about in the GMAT course. And then I'm going to demonstrate these reading strategies through two small passages. Okay. I'm going to take up two small passages, but I am 100% sure or 200% sure that you'll understand the impact of those reading strategies through these passages. And then we're going to talk about, okay, once you understand the passage, how is it that you use that information to answer questions? And for that, I'm going to demonstrate a main point question and then an inference question. So we're going to take up two small passages, one main point question and one inference question. Okay. And then towards the end, I'm going to wrap it up with a study plan that you should follow for RC in order to get to that 90th percentile in RC. Okay. Okay. All right. So the first and the most important strategy that you need to follow for reading comprehension, to do well in reading comprehension, is you need to change your attitude towards RC. If you today, I know majority of you today feel that RC is not something that you enjoy. You see a passage. If a passage is of a topic that interests you, you are somewhat engaged in it. But if a passage is of a topic that has no interest, that you have no interest in, you feel very bogged down with it. You feel, oh God, another RC. Oh God, I can't handle that. Oh God, I have to sit through this for the next 10 minutes. Should I skip it? Should I not skip it? That is the attitude that absolutely needs to change. From today onwards, I want you guys to promise me that whenever you see an RC passage on your screen, you would remind yourself that you want to read that passage. Okay, that is something which I want you to promise today, because remember, it's just those little small things that you tweak in your brain that actually have very, very big impact. And that is one tweak that I want you guys to do. I want you guys to be immersed in the passage. Whenever you see an RC passage, I want you guys to tell me, all right, the author has spent so much time in creating the passage. The least I can do is give the author 3 to 4 minutes of my life on that passage so that I can understand what he's trying to say. Okay. Or another way to motivate yourself to get immersed in the passage is that this passage, if I read that passage properly, if I comprehend that passage properly, then I stand the chance to answer those 3 to 4 questions correctly. And that means a lot to my overall verbal score and my overall GMAT score, right? So you have to motivate yourself to immerse in the passage. You have to be interested, genuinely interested, right? Genuine interest is what I am talking about. Okay, that's what you need to show on that RC passage, because if you don't have that genuine interest, if you don't demonstrate that genuine interest, then the reading strategies that I explained to you won't really work very well for you. Is this point clear? Getting immersed in the passage, because this is something, this attitude change is something that you can do. I can only help you. Okay. Our course, our reading comprehension course, helps you to do that. How? Before we even do any passage analysis, we basically give you that motivational thing that, okay, this is the passage that talks about, let's say, women's rights. I want to understand what the author wants to say. I want to see whether the author is in favor of that or against that, whatever the case may be. Before every passage analysis, we actually drive that motivation for you so that you get immersed in the passage. Okay. But that's something which you have to follow along, and you have to make sure that you inculcate in yourself when you are practicing on your own. Okay. But today I want all of you to promise me that you will be genuinely interested in what the author is trying to say. Okay. I'm going to take that promise towards the end of the session after you see the impact of this. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the reading strategies, and I'm going to just illustrate. I'm just going to mention these reading strategies. I'm going to spend more time demonstrating them to you because I do want to go through those two small passages. But right now, I want you to just take a note of it. Understand the sentence structure. Now, you may think, you're talking about reading comprehension. Why is Payal talking about sentence structure? This probably has an impact on SC. What bearing does it have on RC? It has a lot of bearing. Why? Because your RC passage is composed of sentences. Okay. So passages are composed of sentences. Sentences, actually, I should have done it the other way. Okay, sentences form passages. Ideas form sentences. Now, when you understand the sentence structure, what you're doing is you are trying to understand the ideas that each sentence communicates. Okay. And that's the reason why you need to understand the sentence structure of the sentences in the RC passage so that you understand all the ideas that the author wants to communicate. Okay, so this strategy is very, very important. Now, how do GMAT students build this strategy? They go through the Master Comprehension course, which is the foundation course for all of verbal. Okay, so in this course, we teach you how is it that you read how is it that you read a long sentence to understand its meaning. Okay, that's the first and the foremost thing that you have to learn. The second thing that you have to learn is, as you're reading the sentence, you have to figure out where the transitions are happening. You need to take clues from the keywords that exist in the passage itself, in the sentence itself, and you need to think about if the author has used this keyword, why has he used that keyword? For example, let's say the author presents a positive aspect about a certain theory, okay, or about a certain implementation, right? And then he says, having said that, okay, he's presented a positive aspect, and then he says, having said that. Now, according to this strategy, what I want you to do is I want you to pause here, okay? Even though you already know you already have access to what the author has said next, I still want you to pause here. Why? Because I want you to assimilate what is it that, according to what you've read here, this part, and according to this keyword, what inference can you draw as to what comes next? I want you to do that pre-thinking on your own. Okay. Why is that important? That's important because when you pre-think, and again, there is only one answer to this. If he has presented a positive thing and then he says, having said that, there is only one answer to this. And what is that one answer? Can I indulge you guys in writing that? What is that one thing that the author is going to do next? What is going to come over here? Opposite opinion. Absolutely right. If he's presented the positive and then he's saying, having said that, then definitely the next thing that he's going to say is something negative. And that is pretty firm. There is no other thing that is possible. So I want you to do that inference, to draw that inference on your own before you even read what's coming next. Why is that important? Because that helps you absorb this information a lot better. Okay, think about it. This particular step, what it does is it acts like a primer. How many of you know what is the role of a primer? Primer, and I'm talking about the paint and primer. What is the benefit of using a primer before you apply a paint? Before you apply a coat of paint? All right, somebody at least should know that. It's for foundation. Absolutely right. It helps the paint stick better to the surface. Absolutely right. That's the same thing that happens if you pause to understand what's going to come next. You are priming your mind to absorb what's going to come next. Okay. And when you prime your mind in that manner, you are absorbing everything that you are reading in the passage to the right degree. Remember, what is my goal? My goal is to make sure that you get the maximum from the passage. That is why these little small tweaks while you're reading are very, very critical so that you get maximum from the passage. Okay. All right. The third part over here, summarize and predict what's next. And over here, prediction is not that very important. Summarization is very important. Now, an RC passage has anywhere from 250 to 400 words, right? Now, when you read so many words, and these words are not your simple sentences, cat ran after the dog, not at all. You're not going to see that level of sentence. You're going to see a lot more technicalities involved, both in terms of the sentence structures and in terms of the content and the words that are used in the passage. So it's very important that you summarize certain parts of the passage as you are reading them in your own words. Why? Because when you summarize them in your own words, it sticks a lot better in your mind. Okay, that's why it's very important to summarize. Now, some of you may question, when do I summarize? Do I summarize after every paragraph? Do I summarize after every 2 lines? The answer depends on you. Definitely you should summarize every paragraph, that goes without saying. But whenever you feel that there is an overload of information in your mind, that you're not able to, you feel very burdened by the information, you need to pause and you need to summarize whatever it is that you've read till that point. Okay. So again, be very active while you're reading, because that's what is going to help you get the maximum from the passage. Okay. All right. Now, so if you think about it, and sorry for all the scribbling here, so the first strategy is at the sentence level. The second strategy is within the paragraph, right? And the third strategy is within the paragraph as well as among the paragraphs. So what we are doing over here is we are taking your big RC passage and we are taking your reading style and we are trying to make changes as to how you read at a sentence level, within a paragraph level, and among the paragraphs. Okay. And these small tweaks are definitely going to help you get to that next level. Okay. All right. So we're going to now apply these reading strategies slowly to improve comprehension. Okay. Now, I know you're seeing the word slowly and you're going there. Oh my goodness, RC slow. That's something that I have not, these two words don't go hand in hand. Don't worry about that. I will address that part. But right now, I want you to, I won't say 1 minute. You take as long as you need to take to read this passage. It's a very small passage. What I want you to do is don't worry about the time. I'm going to cut this 1 minute part. Okay. Don't worry about the time at all. I want you to read for comprehension. Read this passage, and then I'm going to ask you certain questions after you've read that passage, and then I'm going to show you the question that I want you to answer based on that passage. Okay. Here's the passage. Take some time to read this. Okay. Okay. When you're done reading, just press yes. All right. I am going to show you the question now. Here's the question. And so don't put in your answers just yet. I'm going to tell you when to put the answers, okay? All right, you can start putting in the answers now. Then I'm going to start making our tally sheet here. Okay, I see. Sorry. One. Okay, I have to go back up here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Then I see here. Then another one here. Give me just a second here to compile this. Okay. How many of you are confused between C and D? Because quite a few people have said D, but then I do see that you guys are confused between C and D. Oh, sorry. This is... Okay. So tell me, how many of you are confused between C and D? Okay. All right. So, and these two are, I mean, it's easy to eliminate choices A and B, but between C and D, that's where the things get a little interesting. Okay. So, but before we go there, I'm going to first read this passage to using the strategies that we just talked about. Okay. Now, how many of you were able to apply the strategies? So how many of you were able to apply the strategies, and which ones did you apply here? Now, I understand this is a single sentence. It's a passage with one sentence. So tell me. Okay, so which strategies? Also tell me that. Which strategies helped you? The sentence structure, okay. Prediction one, good. Reading for comprehension. Okay, good. All right. Very nice. So I'm going to read this passage now, and I'm going to ask you questions as I move along. All right. Sentence structure and summarizing. Good. Very nice. Try to recollect the idea after every comma. Very nice. Good. Very good. Okay. Now let's start reading. Bordering on the extreme, one definition. Okay. I pause here. Okay. I've read just how many? 6 words, but I'm pausing here because I need to read it properly to understand what the author is saying. Bordering on the extreme, one definition. Now, what does bordering on the extreme mean? Tell me that. What does bordering on the extreme mean? Madhav, good that you talked about that you didn't find the keywords. We'll talk about the keywords right now. Okay. So tell me, what does bordering on the extreme mean, according to you? They are on the verge of extreme idea, absolutely right, which means that whatever the author is going to say next, it's actually exaggerated. And what is exaggerated? One definition is exaggerated, right? Okay, so one definition is exaggerated, okay? Now, what is that definition of? This definition is of ethnocentrism. Now, one thing that I do want you to understand is the author is not saying that ethnocentrism, or let's shorten it up as EC, the author is not saying that EC is exaggerated. He's saying that this definition that he's talking about, that definition is exaggerated. Okay, so let's read further. The one definition of ethnocentrism considers it a schismatic in-group, out-group differentiation. And I pause here. Okay, now schismatic. How many of you know the meaning of this word schismatic? Okay, schismatic, frankly, I haven't even looked up the meaning of this word, right? Because I don't want to know the meaning of this word. Why? Because it doesn't, I just want to make sure that I communicate that part, that there are certain words that even if you don't know the meaning of, it's absolutely fine. Okay, you can understand the meaning of this word from the context, or you can just, plug in, use that as a blank thing, right? So considers it some kind of, you can just say some kind of In-group, out-group differentiation. Now, what does in-group, out-group differentiation means? It means that that there is some kind of difference between people inside the group or people outside the group. Okay, so there is some kind of difference there, right? So that's what he's saying, that this exaggerated definition, there is some kind of differentiation. This exaggerated definition of EC considers EC as some kind of differentiation between people who are in the group and people who are outside the group. In which, now in which over here is a keyword. Why is that a keyword? Because it's telling me that there is some description that is going to come next. And what is that description of? That description is going to be of this differentiation, this inside the group and outside the group differentiation. Okay, that's the keyword. So again, there was somebody who said that you weren't able to get the keyword. This is one of the keywords. Okay, all right. So in which internal cohesion, relative peace, and let me get another pen here. Internal cohesion, relative peace, solidarity, loyalty, and devotion to the in-group. How can you summarize these heavy words? A simple summary of these words is love for your own people, right? Love for your own people. That's a simple summarization of these words. Internal cohesion, relative peace, solidarity, loyalty, devotion, or you can say positive feelings towards your own people are correlated. So are linked with what? With hatred towards outside people, which by now this is another keyword. Outside people, these people are often perceived as subhuman. Okay, so that is the crux of the sentence. The sentence presents one definition of ethnocentrism. This definition is a bit exaggerated. According to this definition, love for your own people is linked with hatred towards outside people. Okay, these are the three aspects that I wanted each one of you to understand from this sentence. So now tell me, how many of you got the first point, or how many of you did not get the first point? I'm pretty sure everyone got the first point. Why? It's right away, it's stated explicitly in the passage. It's given in the passage that there is one definition of EC. Now tell me about number 2 over here. How many of you did not get that this definition is a bit exaggerated? When you read the passage on your own, how many of you were not able to draw this conclusion, or were not able to get to this point? Point number 2, because that is something which I want all of you to understand. Okay, Rahul got the second one too. Ochita did not get. Okay, tell me the ones who did not get second one. Okay, and that's something which I want all of you to understand, that it's very important to get each and every, that this is what we mean by getting the maximum from the passage. This understanding is what I mean by saying that this is the level of understanding that I want you to have before you take a look at any of the questions in the passage. When you get to this level of understanding, that is when you get to that 90 to 100% understanding of the passage. Is this point clear? Because if you get this point, then you've gotten the crux of the session. So what I want you guys to do is, if you got this point clear, then I want you to hit the like button for this video, because that's going to be the testament that you've actually understood this point. Okay, because give it a thought. It's a small, bordering on the extreme. It's a very small part of this entire passage, right? But it's a very, very critical part. Okay, and it's very important for you to get that point. Okay, so if you understand this point, because the thing is, why is this understanding important? Because this is what is going to set the stage for why is it that you need to spend the time to build the right level of skill level, to build your ability to read the passage in this manner. Okay, and the motivation has to come from within you. Only then you will be able to do the right things for you to get to that point. Okay, all right, so I do want to see the likes over here. Okay, but I'm not going to wait for that. I'm going to carry on. Now, this inference is what you needed to arrive at. Okay, now you may wonder that, okay, this is not an inference question. Why do I need to draw inferences? Again, you need to be in that mode of drawing inferences all along, regardless of whether you are going to get an inference question or not. Okay, so again, this point number 2, you could arrive at only if you were in that active mode of drawing inferences. Okay. Now the last part, point number 3. How many of you got point number 3? Point number 3, the summarization part. Because this point number 3, you will get only if you spend the time in summarizing the information. So that's another skill. Okay, so it's very important for you to summarize information as you move along, right? So I'm pretty sure that quite a few of you would have gotten summarization part, so that's really good. All right, so now let's come to the answer choices. And because the second part of my thing was that once you understand the maximum from the passage, how do you answer questions based on that, right? So over here, to criticize a concept that encourages hostility. Now, there is no criticism of concept, and that's why it was very important for you to understand the sentence structure, because the sentence structure said that the definition of EC is exaggerated. EC itself is not exaggerated, right? So this is why it's very important to understand each and every part of the passage. Okay. So there is no criticism over here at all, right? Now, the second one over here, to evaluate the concept. Now, none of you over here typed in choice B as the correct answer, but I do know that people who are simply skimming through the passage, people who are simply looking at the words at a very high level, they may end up selecting evaluate. Why? Because evaluate, according to them, is positive and negative. And in the passage, you see certain positive words, the words pertaining to loyalty, devotion, and all that. And then you see certain negative words. So just at a very high level, they can see those positive and negative words, and they can put that together and say, okay, probably there is evaluation that's going on. But that happens only with students who are simply skimming through the passage and who are not getting to that more than 90% understanding of the passage. Okay. Really, over here, there is no evaluation of the concept. The author is simply presenting one definition of EC. He's not evaluating the concept of EC. Okay. Then there are no various features. Okay, those 5 points, devotion, solidarity, those things were only presented as the part of the definition. Those were not features of ethnocentrism. Okay, so do you guys understand how those little things, if you don't understand from the passage, how that may impact you when you are, how the lack of understanding may really lead you to select an incorrect answer choice? Okay, again, the test makers are very smart. They know where you're going to falter, and they actually create answer choices based on your faltering points. Okay, all right, now let's come to choice C, which is where quite a few of you were confused. Now this is where I want you to wear and just, this is a very important point. Okay, so I want you to understand that choices that are close, for choices that are close in main point questions, what I want you to do is I want you to wear the author's hat. I want you to be in the author's shoes, and I want you to ask yourself, if you were the author and if your goal was to define the concept, okay, define a certain concept, that concept could be anything, would you use one definition only, and that to an exaggerated definition? Would you use that? Answer that question, yes or no. If your goal was to define a concept, let's say you are sitting, instead of me sitting here, you are sitting here, and you are talking to all of you, right? And your goal was to define, let's say, ability, okay? Would you really take up an exaggerated definition? No, you would not, right? So that's what I want you to do. Whenever you get confused between two answer choices, especially in a main point question, actually in a main point question, I want you to wear the author's hat. And I want you to think, if I were to define the concept, will I do what the author has done? If the answer is no, then that question, that choice is wrong. Does that work? Yes or no? I want you to make a note of this, this little, I won't call it a trick, but this little role-playing tip that can help you in these main point questions, okay? All right, now, choice D, that is the correct answer here. To introduce the concept of ethnocentrism by presenting a view on it. Now, this was point number 1 from our analysis, right? To introduce the concept, again, ask the same question. This was the choice that you were confused about, right? Ask the same question. If I were to introduce a concept, is it okay for me to use one exaggerated definition? Absolutely, yes, it is, because all you're doing is you're simply introducing the concept. You may not introduce the concept in the best light possible, but you're simply introducing the concept. Okay, by presenting a view on it, point number 1 has been included over here. So if you didn't draw that inference, okay, you may have missed this particular choice over here, right? Now, in this case, what has happened is you guys selected choice D, quite a few of you selected choice D, but there was that confusion, okay? And this is something which I want you to avoid. I don't want you guys to be confused in the test environment, okay? And that is why if you have that 90 to 100% understanding of the passage, okay, I'm not saying you need to get absolute 100%, okay, because at times that's not possible. But I want you to get that more than 90% understanding of the passage, so that when you come to the answer choices, you are absolutely clear as to what's correct and what's not correct. And that goes a long way to make sure that your stamina is up throughout the test environments, to make sure that your morale and your brain is sharp throughout the test. Okay, so not only do these reading strategies help you increase your ability in RC, they also help you in making sure that you are really up to the mark throughout the test and not get bogged down by the RC passages. Does that make sense? All right, now, before I move on to the second passage, okay, I want to make sure that I address this whole part about read slowly. How many of you are confused about what I said earlier, that you need to read slowly in order to get to that level in RC? I understand that it's a time test. I understand that you need to attempt these questions in a certain time frame, right? But I'm also saying that, but I'm also sticking by it that you need to read the passage slowly. Okay. Now, all of you have experienced what happens when you read the passage slowly. You have experienced the output and how that output of more than 90% understanding of the passage helps you in understanding the answer choices, and it helps you in selecting the correct answer choices, right? Now, so you understand the output, you understand the input, right? But I obviously want to make sure that you understand that slowly is not going against the whole timing aspect of the test. And I want you to just absorb these stories a little bit, okay? Nishant, he got a V41. These are successful students who are making that statement here, right? Do not stress about the timing at all. Take more than 3 minutes to read, understand, and comprehend. He's not saying just read, he's saying read, understand, and comprehend, okay? And 4+ minutes to read a long passage, okay? This strategy has the initial investment in time, but you can answer RC each of the questions in less than 1 minute, okay? That is what is very, very important. If you get to that more than 90% understanding of the passage, when you look at the answer choices, you only have to spend about a minute, actually even less than a minute. And that's not just one student, that's multiple students who have experienced that, okay? And again, here's the proof. Nishant, this is Nishant's ESR. And over here, you can see that he didn't take a whole lot of time in doing RC, okay? He took about 2 minutes per question, on an average about 8 minutes per passage, which is what all of us do that today. Okay, so again, the slow reading, and again, I'm doing quote unquote slow reading over here, does not take any more time than your current method of speed reading. All we are talking about over here is we are making sure that you are absorbing the information in the time that you're spending in reading the passage. That time is being spent judiciously. That time is being spent on the right things. That is what we are making sure that you do when we tell you to apply these reading strategies. Okay. All right. Now, here's something. I want you to absorb this screen over here. Okay, what I have over here is speed reading, wherein people spend 2 minutes to read the passage. They just skim through the passage, and then they end up taking about 1.5 minutes per question to answer the questions, and their accuracy is poor at that as well. What we are talking about is slow initial reading, take 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And again, a number of you over here already said that you're spending 3 to 4 minutes on the passage. And that's why I said that this group over here is already doing the right thing. You are spending the time, but you're not spending that time as well as you should. And that is where the reading strategies will help you. Now, how will you know that the reading strategies are helping? When you are taking less than a minute to answer questions. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. When you are solving RC passages, after you have learned the process, if you take more than a minute to answer questions, to answer each question, that means that your understanding of the passage wasn't that good. Okay, I want you to use that as a clue to help you make sure that you are learning the process the right way. Okay, it's very important to take that feedback from how is it that you're doing, take that feedback back into your study, your preparation. Okay, so I want you guys to be very, very cognizant of how much time you're taking for each question. If you're taking more than a minute to solve each question, then there is lack of, you need to work on your passage understanding. Okay, does that make sense? Yes or no? So let me read a few comments. Yogesh said, how does it apply to people who already read slowly? Well, Yogesh, as I just said, you are, if you're reading slowly, then you're probably not applying the methods really that well. So you need to make sure, you need to figure out what is it that you're not getting. Okay. One way to figure that out. So Yogesh, very good question. One way to figure that out is after you're done reading the passage, make sure you look at the solution, right? And make sure you understand each and every part of the solution. Now, the solution needs to be written in the manner of the reading strategies. The reading strategies need to be incorporated in the solutions. That's what you see in the GMAT courses. Okay, so when you're doing the review of the of the solution, make sure you understand, figure out what part did you miss. For example, in this question, you missed out, a number of you missed out on the first inference, or on the second inference, right? So figure out why is it that you were not able to draw that inference. For the next set of passages that you attempt, make sure that you pay attention to that. Read more slowly. Spend 10 minutes reading the passage when you are practicing your skills, right? When you're learning your skills, spend 10 minutes reading the passage. Doesn't matter. Don't read for comprehension, not for time. Okay, I'm not saying that all of you will be able to read the passage within 3 minutes and get to that more than 90% of understanding today. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that's what you want to be at. And for you to get to that level, you have to start reading for comprehension, not for time. Don't limit your time. Don't limit yourself to 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Limit yourself to that 90% comprehension. Just change that metric. That's about it. Okay. And you'll see the kind of magic that it's going to do if you just change that metric while you are practicing. Okay, let me take other questions here. Begum is saying, I guess it's more about digesting what we're reading. Absolutely right. It's more about digesting. And you have to make sure that your goal should be that greater than 90% comprehension. That's what your goal should be. Okay. And reading slowly and avoid reiteration, that's a plus point, I believe. Absolutely, yes. Now, I'm not saying that when you are reading the passage the first time, you cannot go back and reread a certain part. That's absolutely fine. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to read the passage, form your opinions about the passage, and then move on to the questions and then say, oh, I didn't understand this part of the passage. Let me now go back to the passage and understand that. No. Once you start taking a look at the the questions, I don't want you to go back to the passage with a goal to understand the passage. That's another clue that I want you to watch out for when you are answering RC questions. Okay, when you are in the learning mode, do not, if for any passage while answering the questions you needed to go back and reread the passage, that's a full no. That's an indication that you were not able to understand the passage the right way. Okay. I hope you guys are making notes of all these clues that I'm giving you, because these are very, very important for when you are learning the methods for RC. Okay. Okay, so if you are, let's see, Martin is saying, if you're at a very basic level, to improve RC properly, you should start first slowly to read, and over time improve the speed. Absolutely yes, Martin. Absolutely yes. Okay. Lynn is saying, read slowly, pause when necessary to understand the structure. Absolutely yes. Ravi is saying, holding so many details in long passages is especially challenging. Note taking takes time. It's okay, Ravi. That's what I'm saying. Don't worry about time when you are learning the process. Okay. That's one thing that I'm definitely going to say. Sean, definitely you should take notes while you are reading. And in the beginning, you may take really long notes. It's absolutely okay. But you'll see over practice, as you practice, After 10 passages, again, practice the right way. I'm not saying just go pick up any random passages. The passages have to be of the right difficulty level, of the right kind of structure in the passage, which represent what you're going to see on the GMAT, right? So if you're practicing with the right kind of content, then definitely take notes. You will see as you get to 10th passage, your notes will have reduced, will have shrunk a lot, while maintaining the effectiveness while maintaining their effectiveness. Okay, so definitely take notes. Rudolph says, you mean by summarizing to take notes during the process of reading? Yes, absolutely. Begum is saying, what would you suggest if there are many words I don't know in one question? Is there anything we can do during the exam? Not really. See, the thing is, if you're practicing with the right content, you will get exposed to, I would say, 80%, 90% of the words that you're going to see on the test, right? So it's not going to be a surprise. That's why it's very important to basically focus on the thing that practice using the right content. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, which means you need to have the right kind of solutions. You need to have the right kind of passage construction. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, because these reading strategies work only on those passages that are written in the manner of what you're going to see on the GMAT. Okay. Okay. Then let's see, what's your tips for 700 level RC? Well, all that I'm talking about over here, Stephen, apply to all kinds of passages. Okay. Again, think about it. Passages that are easy, you don't really need to, because they are easy, you won't really need to spend that much of time in taking down notes. Again, they are easy. That's why they are easy. They're easy to understand. It's really the passages that are difficult, 700 level passages. That's where you have to obviously make sure you have to have the right ability to be able to understand those kinds of passages. That being said, I'm not saying that you apply one method for easy passages and another method for difficult passages, because it doesn't really matter. You wouldn't know when you are in the test environment as to what kind of passages you're getting, right? So again, if you are building your ability the right way, there is no problem for you to apply this method. This method will become second nature to you. Okay, and that's why you have to basically concentrate on building your ability the right way. Someone is saying, sometimes few sentences I don't understand while understanding the whole passage. Then what should be the strategy? Your strategy should be to make sure that you understand those sentences. And again, guys, I want you to make sure you understand that there are things that you have to do in the test environment, and there are things that you have to do in the learning environment. I am right now talking about the learning environment. Okay, if you learn with the GMAT course, okay, let's say the first 10 passages that you do, you face these problems. You face problems such as you're taking 10 minutes to read the passage to understand it. Still, you are getting only 50% of understanding, right? When you experience that, when you take a look at the solution, you take feedback from that solution, you learn from those solutions. The next 5 passages that you do, you will see a marked improvement. Okay, and that's why I'm saying you have to trust the process. You have to, first of all, have that trust that you want to learn this part. Okay, all right. Yogesh is saying, I've referred many resources for RC strategies. Most of them suggest that read first, reading rapidly. It is not necessarily to get everything in the first reading. What is your take on this? My take is absolutely no. I've spent about 40 minutes talking about reading slowly, making sure that you read the right way, you get to that more than 90% understanding in the first read itself. Okay, I am not a believer of doing a skim through and then going back into reading the stuff. No, I believe in doing things right the first time. Okay, that's my belief in everything that I do. Okay, so that's the thing which works for RC. Ultimately, you have to build your RC ability to be able to solve difficult questions correctly. How do you reach difficult questions correctly on the test? By answering those medium level questions that you get initially, right? So you need to have the right kind of ability in order to get to that 90th percentile in RC. For that, you have to read for maximum comprehension the first time you're reading the passage, and then make sure you answer. You take less than a minute to answer questions. Okay. Trishul is saying, what do you mean by notes while reading the passage? Trishul, again, as you're reading the passage, you have to write down your own notes. Okay. And when you go through the GMAT course, you will see the notes for each and every passage on the side so that you can compare your notes with the notes that we provide. And again, everyone has a different note-taking style. I may write notes in more bulletized form. There may be other people who may write them in more visual form. Again, whatever works for you. There is no one right way to take down notes. The whole point of this is you are reading for comprehension. Whatever helps build your comprehension. Okay. So again, as you practice these reading strategies, you will be able to read and understand within the time constraints of the test. Okay, and that's something which so many other students have said. Again, read all the text, not only the first and the last sentence of each paragraph, and that goes to your point, Yogesh, here. As long as you understand the whole paragraph, it takes only 30 to 50 seconds to answer each question. And that's where my clue was, right? My clue was that if you're taking any more than a minute to answer a question, this means that you haven't understood the passage well enough. So you need to learn that part, okay? All right, so I'm going to skip through this part here. We are pretty close to our second question here. Now, let me take a pulse of this class right now. What do you guys think about what all we have talked about? We have to still go through one more question, and I will go through that. But before that, tell me how many of you are going to apply these strategies? There are about 81 of you over here, and I see only 29 likes. So let's see with the vote of with the show of likes, how many of you will be applying these reading strategies, or how many of you feel that reading for comprehension is the right way to go? Thank you, Sean. Slow reading, take notes. I want to see that impact on the likes. I want you to hit that like button. I have 79 people over here, and I have only 30 people who have liked it. Right, which means that there are so many people who don't still buy it. So I want to make sure that every one of you buys into this, because again, it's important for you to understand. Thank you, Sean. It's really very important for you to understand the significance of these strategies so that you can spend the time, because again, it's going to be an arduous process. I'm not going to say that it's going to come easy. You have to spend about, let's say, 20 to 30 hours on the reading comprehension course so that you can get to the level where you need to be for this thing. Okay. All right. This strategy will be the best possible to a higher level of accuracy. Absolutely right. It will be. Okay. So Rahul, that's good. I mean, I'm really glad to see that. Any tips for primary purpose question? Pooja, we just talked about the main point question, right? And I gave you those hints about how is it that you should be thinking about a main point question. Again, the key thing for all of this is that you need to get everything from the passage. That's the key thing for every kind of question. Okay. All right, guys, let's thank you so much for that. Let's look at question number 2 now, and take your time to solve this, to read this passage. Again, apply the same strategies. Okay, read slowly. Okay, don't worry about the time here at all, but once you're done reading it, click on the write down done. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you the question now. Here's the question. Okay, I am going to, well, not mark all the pieces. Sorry about that. Sorry. Select the choice. Which information can be inferred? Sorry, I'm changing the question on you. Which information can be inferred? Obviously, the sentence is not written correctly here. Which information can be inferred from the above paragraph? So I see B here, B, E. So I see B's and E's here. Okay, what else? Okay. All right. Yeah. So I think there is a tie between B and E. You guys are thinking with B. B also could be the correct answer. C. E also could be correct answer. Now this is something which you're going to learn a lot about inference questions here. Okay. Think about it as inference mini marathon here kind of thing. Okay. The color blue is considered to have a soothing effect on moods of most people. What can you infer from this statement? What do you infer from this statement? Number one or number two? Number one, absolutely yes. Absolutely right. We can infer that some people regard the color blue as soothing. Now, why is number two not correct? Why? Because what it's saying is that it's considered to have a soothing effect. It's not a fact that the color blue is soothing, right? So it's just considered. So that's the reason why choice two is not correct. And these are the keywords. Remember, the keywords are not just because they're therefore moreover, right? These are also your clues. Okay, and that's something which you have to always watch out for. Now, where do you see that in the passage? And again, because of the paucity of time, I'm going to go through this little quickly. Okay, look at this. Ethnocentrism, so let's call it as EC, and its canonical variants are deemed to be intimately connected with xenophobia, XP. Now, when you see this, can you say that EC and its canonical variants are closely connected with XP? Is that a fact? Yes or no? Look at the word deemed to be. When you see the word deemed here, can you say that for sure EC and XP are always intimately connected? No, you cannot say that. Okay, so that's the first thing that you have to understand. Now, whose view is it? It is somebody's view. Do we know whether the author believes in that? Has the author said anything till now which makes you believe that the author also believes that EC and XP are closely connected? No, the author is simply reporting stuff. The author is simply saying that there are some people who think that EC and XP are closely connected. Okay, let's read further. A complex attitude system cum sentiment structure involving aversion, dislike, and antagonism vis-a-vis the stranger or the alien and everything that the stranger or the alien represents. Now, this entire big thing, what is this? What is this? This is simply definition of XP. And what is the definition? These long words, and I'm not counting the words, but these about 20 word long, about 20 long words a segment, all it's saying is that it's a sentiment structure that involves aversion or hatred towards strangers. That's what XP is. That's the definition of XP. Now, is the definition of XP a fact? Yes or no? It is a fact. Does the author believe in this definition of XP? Because it's a fact, the author believes in it. The author is a logical guy, right? He's not going to say, oh, I'm not going to believe in the definition of XP. He believes in the definition of XP, right? So it's a fact. Okay. Now, let's read further. Some sociocultural anthropologists, so some experts, even considered xenophobia and XP and EC opposite sides of the same coin. Now, this is what I want you to think about. What is the significance of the word even? Why has the author used the word even? Why has the author used the word even? And I'm going to tell you that, okay? In the beginning, the author said that there are some people who think that EC and XP are closely connected. There are some people who think that, okay? Then he presented the definition of XP. Now he's saying that there are some experts who even considered. Now he's actually saying that there are these other experts, some experts who took this to that next level here, who took this close connection to that next level, who even considered XP and EC to be opposite sides of the same coin. When you say opposite sides of the same coin, it's basically saying that they coexist. Opposite sides of the same coin always coexist, right? So that's what he's saying. They're not just intimately connected. If one is there, the other has to be there. That is what the author is saying over here. And that's the significance of this word even. So your words such as even over here are also acting as keywords. Okay, do you guys understand that? And that's the beauty of focusing on each and every word in the RC passage so that you can grab onto those things. Now, when you read the word even, what you read over here makes perfect sense. When you read the word even, you know that, okay, when he's saying even, he's actually taking that initial intimate connection to that next level. Okay, and what is that next level? That these two coexist. Okay, then you see the word but, which is definitely a keyword. Now he's saying he's presenting a contrast, but a few voices. Now there are some other group of people have cautioned that this need not be the case. What need not be the case? That this coexistence need not be the case. Okay, now now, over here, Ravi is saying contradicts intimately connected in the first line, which is why the author uses the word even word to signify a surprise tone. Yeah, so he's taking that to the next level. He's basically saying that, okay, there is this, there are some people who take that to another level altogether. Okay. All right. Now, this is very important that, so it's very important that in a passage, you understand what is a fact, what is an opinion. This definition is a fact. This definition is a fact. This first sentence over here, it's an opinion of some people. Is it the author's opinion? We don't know. The author has not said that. So we cannot say that the author believes in it. This part over here, that's also an opinion of some other people, not of the author. And this is also an opinion. Okay. Apart from this part, apart from this fact, none of the other sentiments can be an inference, because inference is always from the point of view of the author. What does the author believe in? Again, that's something which you have to understand. What does the author believe in? If the author has stated a fact, or if the author has agreed with somebody's opinion, then those are the things that he believes in. So for example, over here, let's say if the author ended over here, but a few voices have cautioned that this need not be the case, and rightly so. If that's what he said over here, then you would have said that this is the opinion of other people and author's opinion as well. Okay, does this make sense? Because this is the crux of inference. Okay, so again, over here, as we were reading this entire passage, we were focusing on each and every reading strategy. Okay, so again, it's very important for you to focus on those points. Okay, now we were reading the passage to understand the passage completely. All right. Opposite side can also mean they cannot coexist. Again, Rahul, think about what it's saying, that they even considered XP and EC opposite sides of the same coin. Opposite sides of the same coin always coexist, right? And again, you have to take even in context of what the passage is saying. The passage is saying that they are deemed to be connected in the beginning, right? He's presenting certain opinion, right? So you have to take all of that into consideration. You can't just consider a sentence in isolation in an RC passage. All right, so again, a correct inference is always from the point of view of the author. Correct inference cannot be something on which the author has not given any opinion and the author agrees with the facts. Now, given that, the correct answer over here is not choice B. Choice B is a deemed view, okay? The correct answer over here is choice E, that it entails the dislike towards the strange, okay? So, all right, guys, I'm going to end this session here. The next steps, I want you to go through, I want you to register on GMAT, and I want you to go through main point concept 1, main point concept 2. The stuff that we did today over here, if you go through these two concepts, it's going to cement all of that, okay? Because we focused a whole lot on reading strategies and we focused a whole lot on main point questions. So if you go through these two files, you will get at least, I would say, between these two files, there are 4 passages. If I'm not wrong, and there are another 4 passages over here. So you will be able to get all that information. Again, you'll be able to cement all that. So definitely register over here and make sure that you go through these files. They are available in the free trial. And if you want to learn RC, master RC within 10 days, I would say you spend about anywhere from 20 to 40 hours, you should be able to master RC, okay? So definitely then think about the GMAT course, okay? And then all of the stuff over here, just think about what all you need in order to do well on RC. You need to master the method and you need to use the data to power your success, okay? So again, if you comprehend the passage well, you don't need to spend more than a minute to answer each question. And I want you to basically keep those things in mind. And again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on these slides, but just all of these slides will be there as we're going to get that added onto the comments, onto the description of the video, okay? Sean, I've been enrolled in GMAT course for 3 months. It's truly amazing course, better than any other course. Thank you so much, Sean. It really means a lot to us. And definitely write to us if you have any questions. If you're stuck anywhere, we have our complete GMAT strategy team to help you answer your questions. All right, so yeah, so that's it. Let me stop sharing now over here. And again, this is what I was talking about. These 2 files plus this file is part of your free trial. So you can definitely access that. Okay, good, Yogesh. I'm really glad that you were able to attend this one. Okay, all right. Now let me stop sharing. Any other questions that you may have? Just give me 1 second here. All right, so Ravi, you can write to me at payal@e-gmat.com. Okay. I don't see very many questions. I guess we took quite a few of, okay, I needed to change the view here. Yeah, so we took quite a few questions. Ma'am, any book for preparation and practice, Thrishal? The GMAT course, that's what I would say. So enroll in that and you'll get everything that you need in order to do well on RC and everything else. Okay, let me write down my email address here. So it's payal@e-gmat.com. So you can write to me over there and then we'll be able to help you out. Okay. Are there upcoming sessions on SC as well? We'll have to check the schedule. I believe we do. There's a verb ing modifier session, I believe. So yes, we do have sessions coming up for SC, and do look at the YouTube GMAT Club's YouTube channel to basically find other sessions. And in fact, guys, I mean, this is really a neat thing that the GMAT Club is doing, getting all the experts together and you know, conducting these free sessions for you. So definitely do appreciate them. And to show your appreciation, click on the like button if you haven't as yet done so. Because again, the more you like the video, the more other people would be able to, you know, see that there is a benefit if they spend their time in watching the video, and they'll be able to take the benefit. So do it for your fellow mates who are preparing for the test if you haven't as yet clicked on the like button. Okay. All right. So any comments that you may have, anything that you liked, or anything that you'd want us to do in our further webinars, definitely put those comments in this video so that we take that feedback. And again, we will definitely would love to create different sessions for you so that you basically get the benefit. Okay. All right, then I'm going to end this session right here, and good luck for your preparation. And if you have any questions, write to me at payal@edashima.com, and good luck. Bye-bye.